Hello, everyone. Welcome to Shout Out with Sage on Streamin' Hub Radio. I am Sage Stevens, the host, and today my guest is a rap artist, songwriter, and producer. His single Selfish was on the Grammy ballot, and he just released a house EP called What Lovers Do. He is also a professional hip hop dancer and has been featured on B.E.T's 108th and Park Wild Out Wednesdays and has danced in shows with T-Pain and Soulja Boy. His single Concentrate also just hit number 4 on Spinnin' Records. And today on Shout Out with Sage, I want to welcome Zay. Hey Zay, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. So you had a single Selfish and that got on the Grammy ballot. And and I myself a few years ago as a producer was on the Grammy ballot. I know how much work that takes and all that. So just explain a bit of that process for us.
Okay, well, Selfish is actually from my album What Lovers Do. I just released that on the January 24th. So that album is more of a pop album, and then Keep the Change is the house EP I just put out too. I think I released that on the same day too, but they're different genres. But Selfish was on What Lovers Do, and what happened was I went through this book of tons of record labels, and I just started hitting up every single one. And Big Noise contacted me back, and they were instrumental in building Christina Aguilera's career, the Beach Boys, who else? Red Hot Chili Peppers. And so I started working.
Just a few names. Just a
few names to name a few. Yeah. Diane Warwick. So just a few names, and I was super excited that they called me back because, I've been doing this for 17 years, and as you know, I'm sure you've talked to many other artists that it's incredibly hard to get even a little bit of notice in the music industry. And so, so they heard the song and they really liked it, and they said, okay, we're gonna run a little cycle with you, and let's see if we can get you a Grammy consideration this year. And the only way that you can get a Grammy consideration, as you probably know, is you have to be a part of a record label, or I believe on the Grammy board, or part of the Academy, in order to make that happen. So when I got the news, I was absolutely stoked, So it was really exciting. And Selfish, it's getting a lot of plays right now. I've got over probably 3,000 or 4,000 streams so far on Spotify and some of the other streaming networks. But I'm really excited. It's one of the singles from the album, and let's see how far to go.
What made you decide to get into music?
Well, okay, so this is weird. Okay, so let me tell you this. When I was really young, I wasn't allowed to listen to just any type of music because my parents were super religious, but all my family is like super musically inclined, And so I would just spend a lot of my time dancing and whatnot, but I still dabbled in music because my cousin was a drummer, and he's like 5 years younger than me, so I was 12 and he was 8, and he was teaching me how to play drums. And so I started doing that, but I could never afford. I mean, at 12 years old, you can't afford anything. You're 12, and so I was like, okay, well, what can I do to continue doing music? So I just I can't buy a drum set, so I downloaded this little 6-track beat maker on my computer called Hammerhead, and I just started making beats with that, and I think I started probably around 14 with that. But I felt really limited because I had stuff in my head that I wanted to actually like play or put down, but I couldn't because I didn't have the software or anything really. So I did that, and then I kind of strayed away from that and started putting more focus on hip hop dancing. And then when I was about 20 years old, I had felt like I had, I guess I can't really say done enough with dancing, but I was like, okay, well, let me see, I want
to change it up.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. So I decided to change it up, and taken it really seriously, and 17 years later, I'm still doing it, and it's going really good. So, yeah.
Does dancing influence your music or vice versa, or is it just two sort of separate endeavors?
Oh, it definitely influences it because as a hip hop dancer, teacher, and choreographer, I want something that's always going to keep me moving, you know?
Mhm.
And that's kind of how
Tapping.
I dove in. Yeah, tapping my feet, just grooving, and, maybe doing a little salsa or something like that. And because my dad was really about, expanding your genre when you're making music.
Hmm.
And so that's one thing that he taught me. And my dad dabbles in jazz because he's a pianist, jazz, bossa nova, Caribbean music. Like he likes to play all styles. And so as a hip hop dancer, I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to limit myself to just one genre if I'm going to start producing music. And so I started with pop, and then it slowly transitioned to house, and now it's kind of a mix of both. But what's weird is when I was younger, when I first started producing and writing, I was like, I want to do that rap, that hardcore hip hop, like Twista, Bone Thugs and Harmony, and all those
Yeah.
kind of guys. And every time I tried to produce a beat like that, it always came out pop. So I got really, really frustrated with myself. It like really frustrated, and so I'm like, okay, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
go with it.
yeah. Well, I mean, if your intuition is telling you, like, giving you something, then you
Yeah,
probably should sort of go with it. That's probably the
right.
direction you're supposed to go because it's naturally
100%.
coming from you, right?
Yeah, 100%.
How
Yeah.
much do you, how much does your instincts and sort of your intuition influence your music?
I would say it does a lot because I'm not classically trained. I I I know majors and minors on the piano, but I can't literally sit there and be like dun 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 and play out of my head because I'm like a drummer. I'm a drummer, so I just kind of I treat the piano as more of a percussive instrument. And so when I'm making a song, I don't think about really scales or where it should go. I just go based off of feeling. I just go based off feeling, and I mean, I wish I knew all of the music theory. I know a little bit, but
Okay.
yeah. So I do enough to get by.
Okay. Sorry, you're just freezing up a little bit. So I just want, okay, there you, I think you're okay now. Cool. What was the best
Oh, did I?
advice yeah,
Okay.
you froze up a little bit. Okay, you're
All
fine
right.
now. Yeah. Okay. What was the best advice that you were given from someone
Yeah.
in
Okay.
going into your career? Sorry, can you hear me?
Um. Yeah, I can hear you. Is it still lagging a little bit?
No, you're good now. Yeah, yeah, you're good. So
Oh, is it good now?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah. What was the best advice that someone gave
Okay.
you in your career?
I would say probably my dad, because when we were younger, he would make us go out and sell his CDs. I mean, in the house that I grew up in, my dad went out and sold $5,000 worth of his own CDs just to get put a down payment on that house that we grew up in. And so from a very young age, he taught me to stay consistent. And so I would say consistency and not really worrying about what anybody else is doing. Just stay consistent with what you're doing and don't compete with people. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned when we were like backstage before we went live today
Uh-huh.
that your dad that you guys did used to live in LA, but you
Yeah.
are now in Iowa. So how has like leaving LA influenced your career?
Um, I want to say okay. So I was born in '87, and the earthquake in '89 freaked him out, and so he's like, I got to get out of here. So we moved from there to Oregon, and then from Oregon to Iowa. And I grew up, listening to his music, Kirk Franklin or Michael Jackson. Those are really the only three people we could listen to since we weren't really allowed to listen to,
Right.
any of that hardcore rap or anything. Um, but I moved back to LA in 2006 to go to school at California Pacific College, home of the Young Americans. So I was a part of the Young Americans for a little bit, which is a performance and singing group. And then when I came back here after about 2 years, I mean, the love for wanting to do music, was started while I was out there in LA. And I actually did start messing around with some stuff in the piano room, and I came up with 4-track EP, absolutely horrible. But when I got here to Iowa, that's when I wanted to start taking it serious. Yeah, that's when I wanted to start taking it seriously. So I kind of feel like wherever I go, how I feel about music is, how it's going to come out. I really kind of feel like any city or anywhere else that I'm at, probably it won't influence it much.
Okay. What do you
Yeah.
think, for you, what makes a great song?
Emotion. Emotion. And I definitely think if you're a songwriter, you're focusing on parables, similes, metaphors, foreshadowing, thinking of past events, and if you're able to use those types of um, ideas to structure a song in a way that people can relate to, then I mean it's a home run, because people want something they can relate to and they can listen to and feel connected with. So
Right.
that's what I would say about that for sure.
Do you use any of your own life events in your music?
I do, yes, I do. Let me make sure. Uh, for the most part, I do like to write objectively. I've always found it easier to write objectively because you know somebody can be talking to you and you can literally just they can say a couple words or a sentence and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that'd be a great song. Or they could be telling you about something that just happened last weekend at the club and be like, oh, that's awesome. So I kind of find myself in a space where I feel like if I just talk about myself when I'm writing, I'm kind of limiting myself. Now, when you're listening to it, you're not going to really know if it's an objective or subjective thing. And sometimes I'll throw like little lines in my songs, or I really will focus on a song and be like, okay, I'm going to write this subjectively. Like Reciprocal, that song is a single on my album What Lovers Do, and that's about reciprocating love, because one of the biggest things and with the relationships that I've been in my life is I'm afraid of love not being reciprocated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's a subjective song, but a lot of the other stuff is objective. But I think it works. If you connect with it and you vibe with it, then I've done my job. You know what I mean?
Do you ever feel like that you need to come back to LA for your music, or you're good where you're at?
I don't necessarily feel like I need to because I feel like with the way that the music industry has evolved in the past 10 to 15 years with all the streaming services and a lot of independent artists making their music in their home studios, we have access to literally the entire world just by
Right.
sitting in our apartments and producing and writing just like any other major label would. So, yeah, that's kind of how I would say. I would say I don't really feel like I need to, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, or maybe some award show will drag you out to LA sooner rather than
Oh,
later.
that'd be awesome. I know, right?
Right, right.
Red carpet.
Yes. What opportunities do you say yes to, and what do you say no to? Like when you're collaborating or working on a project, what sort of draws you to it?
Okay, that's a good question. Um, I would say as an artist, it's important to be open to a lot of opportunities, especially if you're new and you're up and coming. Um, I would say for the most part, I'm open to working with anyone if they show like that they have a drive and they're serious about it. Now obviously I don't want to waste my time. So if whoever I feel like I'm working with isn't serious enough, then
Right.
I'll just keep it moving, or I'll say, hey, I'm busy. Or I'll tell them that my price for producing a beat is for them is something they couldn't afford.
Yeah, just sort of price them out.
Just price it out. No, but for the most part, I think it's important for young artists to be open to a lot of other things. But I also want to stress this for any artist that does want to take this on as a career. Don't be so open-minded that you just let anybody come in and take advantage of you. You know what I mean? Because let's just be honest, the world out there is full of a lot of people who see something shiny and then they want it for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants a piece of that pie. So always know that if you focus on your craft and you take it as seriously as you do, I mean, it's your baby. You don't want anybody to mess with that. You know what I'm saying? So stay open, but use caution too.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any opportunities that you said no to in the past that you now sort of think back and maybe you should have taken them, or you're good with everything?
I'm good with everything. Because for the most part, when I say no to something, I really understand what it's about.
Right.
You know,
the reasons for that and why you're saying no.
Yeah. Like with for example, for my song "Concentrate" that just went number 4 on Spinning Records, on the record label, I had other labels hit me up talking about, hey, we'd love to work with you, et cetera, et cetera. And I go check them out. I do research, and I told them, I'm sorry, but the structure of your record label, I don't feel really works for me, And I've even had people tell me straight up, like, hey, I love this song, but you know what? I don't want to sign any papers. I just want to get a piece of the money. I've literally had people say that to me, and it's like, good Lord. I mean, it's like, it's wild out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know.
People are getting lost in the sauce, and it's rotten tomatoes. I'm like, chill, man. You just gotta. So
lost in the sauce. I have to remember that.
Yeah.
That's a title for a song right there.
It is lost in the sauce. I might have to do it. I just gave myself a good idea.
Love it. Lost in the sauce. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Lost in the sauce.
Right.
Something feels off. I don't know.
Oh my God. What are you working on now? What are some new, do you have new songs you're working on? What's going on there?
Yeah. Well, Lost in the Sauce is a song that I'm currently working on as we speak. The wheels are turning. Okay. You'll have to get some writer's credit for that.
Just make sure you mention me. Don't forget me.
Right.
I could have a little lyric in there.
Yeah, you might get a little lyric, or might have to put you on the splits. Maybe get a few percent. A couple.
Oh wow! Thank you. That was amazing.
Get some royalties.
Totally for that.
Yeah. So, but no. So, I just released "Keep the Change," my house music EP, and then "What Lovers Do," the pop album. And right now, I'm already working on a follow-up album for "What Lovers Do." And I'm working on a follow-up EP for "Keep the Change." That one's going to be called "Keep the Change Volume 2." So I've got about 2 songs for "Keep the Change" already that I'm working on, and then I've got quite a few for the follow-up to "What Lovers Do" as well. So I'm excited, So I've got some new stuff that's going to coming out probably within the next year or so.
You mentioned earlier you gave a little bit of advice to people that were starting out. What other advice would you give to people that wanted to pursue, a career in music?
Okay, that's a good question. So, like I said, the first thing is don't compete with people. Focus on being the best that you can be, because if you don't, you will get lost in the sauce of rotten tomatoes. Okay, and so focus on yourself and don't compete with people. That's what I've always done. And another thing I would say is to think of music as a way of giving, giving something, because when I think of it, I love it. I think of it as, okay, I want people to have as much fun as I have creating music
Mm.
at the same time.
Like
I want
enjoying
them
it,
to feel
listening. Yeah.
exactly. So my thing is think of it in a way as, okay, I'm loving this track. This is a fun song. I'd love for everybody to enjoy just as much as I've been enjoying making this song too. So,
Right.
and I feel like with those two things, there's nothing that can stop you. Do it for the joy. Try to give people that joy that you're
Right.
feeling when you're making it.
Right. Right. Right.
Hmm.
What other things? So you mentioned a bit about joy and that. How about are there other things that influence you when you're doing your music?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is when I'm producing or writing, and I've got an idea in my head, and I don't even have a title for it yet.
Mhm.
I'll literally just look around my room, and I'll see like a printer or something, and I'll name it Printer Beat Type One or something like that. I know that is kind of not exactly answering your question, but seeing objects around my room will influence me when I'm titling a song until I finish writing the hook. So, on a more deeper level, as I'm making a beat, um, if I feel like I'm stuck or something, I will go to like YouTube or something, and I'll listen to music that's in the same key as the song that I'm writing or producing, and I'll listen to other artists like Taylor Swift or the Postal Service or
Mm,
some John Mayer or something like that,
mm.
and, and I'll take inspiration from there. And so, yeah, so I definitely allow other people's music to help influence if I need that boost,
Right.
if I'm writing or producing. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. What is your
But,
yeah, it does. It's yeah.
uh,
What's your favorite part of being a musician? Oh, thank you.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mhm. What's your
Okay, sorry,
favorite
I think
part
the
of being
connection
a
just.
musician? Yeah.
I would have to say performing. I absolutely love it. It's because when I'm doing shows in front of people, and I'm doing these songs that I've put so much energy and work into, and I see them loving it just as much as I do, then that's where the reward really comes. When people are vibing the way that you're vibing, it's a really fun thing. Or when I'm DJing and I see people dancing to a track I just made, you know.
Mm. Okay. Is there someone that's really helped you or that's been pivotal in getting you to where you are right now?
Um, no. And
No,
I,
other
I'm
than
just,
you.
I'm just, you know what I will say as far as building that foundation. It would have had to been my dad to get me that start, but you know, my family, my parents are divorced, so I wasn't really around him too much after those early years,
Mm,
and so I really just kind of grabbed the bulls by the horns and had to learn everything myself. I've had to learn it the hard way, you know,
mm,
and there's nothing wrong with that for anybody else out there who feels like they don't have anyone that's kind of helping them along. But yeah, it's been a journey, but I'm thankful because I've learned a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned if somebody was there to if somebody was there and maybe some
guiding you or
yeah,
mentoring
yeah,
you.
exactly. So, yeah.
Do you network a lot, and do you think networking's important?
Yes, I do network a lot with a lot of my house music. I do believe networking, is extremely important, and I've noticed that with the house music that I make, um, it's a lot easier to network than it is with pop music.
Okay.
It's very very important to network, no matter what genre. But with house music, everybody loves to dance. Everybody loves to go to clubs and stuff. But the difference with pop music, it's just harder. I can't put my finger on it, to be honest. I've been doing it for 17 years, and it's absolutely mind blowing on how much harder it is for a pop song like Selfish to get across than it is for a house track. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
So yeah, so but networking is important on all sides, no matter what genre. But I just personally feel house music is a little bit easier and pop's a little bit harder.
Is there somewhere we can find you online? How do we stalk you?
Yeah, you can go to. I need some stands. Y'all, everyone can go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok at I am Zay Music. That's IAMZAY Music. I have the same handle for any social music platform or social media platform if you want to follow me. But if you want to but my album What Lovers Do is available on all streaming platforms, as well as my house EP Keep the Change. All streaming platforms, yeah.
And are you going to be performing anywhere soon, or?
I'm gearing up to start performing in the fall. Right now, what I'm working on is building my band together, getting everyone back together so we can start tour in the fall. It takes a lot of work, we got to book these shows and et cetera, but in the meantime, I'm going to be DJing quite a bit. I DJ all the time, so that's kind of what my little go-to until we take it up a notch with the What Lovers Do album.
And you DJ mostly house music or all different types of music?
Open format. My favorite is house music, but if you want to be a DJ, you got to be able to spin anything and everything, right. And so that's where I'm at with that. So.
Cool. And are you just like in Iowa, or you travel around?
I'm still in Iowa.
Okay.
It's tough out there, but I gotta. Well, first off, I need to get a new car.
Okay.
If I get a new car, then I can start traveling more. But I got a beater right now.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on on the Grammy ballot and your new music coming out, and keep me posted on if you come to LA and you're performing anywhere. I don't think I'll be making it to Iowa anytime soon, but you never know.
Hey, you're more than welcome to come here. Enjoy the corn and cows with us.
Okay, thank you. Well, I grew up in Canada, so I'm very acquainted with cold weather and space. Lots
of flat land everywhere.
Yes, definitely. Okay, Zay, well, thank you so much.
Okay.
And thanks everyone for joining us today. I am Sage Stevens, and this is Shout Out with Sage, and see you next Wednesday at 4:05 p.m. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Zay.
Bye-bye.